To help you understand how the stepping feature of the Viper MAXX works, let's do a single line spray. You can see on our touch screen that we have it set for a full chest at 14 inches wide. What we want to do is change the spray length down to 0.5 inches so that it will only spray one pass to the left. I typically like to spray at one of the fastest settings on the Viper MAXX so that we can see how the spray pattern actually looks without it being oversaturated. To do that, change the percent of laydown to a much lower value, such as 0 or 10. Then, go ahead and spray the shirt. You can see that if we measure the spray width of a single pass of a spray pattern itself, it is about 1.78 inches in width. We need to remember that there are 618 steps per inch. So if we have 1.875, that's 1 7/8 inch spray width, that equates out to approximately 1,159 steps per single pass, such as what this is here. By default, the Viper MAXX is designed to have 900 steps in between each pass. That means that the next spray pattern will start and move 900 steps from the center point up and then start spraying again. 900 steps, if we do the math, is equivalent to 1.45 inches of travel. That means from the center point here, it's going to travel 1.45 inches and begin its second set of spray. So 1.45 from the center of this up means that the next center spray will start right about this point and overlap itself again by about this much. So we can see here that our overlap will be right about here. We've changed the number of steps in between spray passes from 900 steps, which is our default, to 1,800 steps. Here you'll be able to see the difference between the two. Because of the increase in steps, it gives us a very obvious gap in between the spray passes. This is completely unacceptable for DTG printing, but to illustrate this, we know that one pass, which was 900 steps on our original spray, equated out to about 1.45 inches of travel. The interesting thing is if we go from the middle point of this spray to the middle point of this spray, it's the equivalent of about 3 inches. 1,800 steps equates out to actually 2.9 inches of travel. So you can see that the higher the number of steps, the further down the spray head will travel between each pass. This is what allows us to actually achieve the perfect amount of overlap in between spray passes so we can achieve a perfect spray pattern every time. For our test with water, it worked out to be about 1.78 inches. Typical pretreatments will be right around that range, and our standard default of 900 steps will actually work out quite well with most pretreatments. Over time, however, the spray tip can change, or if the viscosity of your pretreatment is slightly different, it may affect the actual width that you're spraying. So you can actually then adjust the number of steps in between sprays to achieve a perfect spray pattern every time. To adjust the number of steps in between each spray pass, simply click on Utilities, and then go to Spray Head Settings and click on the icon there. Here you will find the Y-axis steps between sprays and an area of entry where you can set the number of steps. If your spray pattern has light gaps in between each spray pass, that means that your steps between sprays is too high, and you must lower it to a lower number. If you have extremely heavy or visible heavy overlaps between sprays, that means your steps are too close to each other, And what you would want to do in that case is increase the number of steps upward. It's recommended to only go 50 or 100 steps at a time. This way you can evaluate between each spray. Remember, always spray test with water first before switching over to pretreatment. This will allow you to gain a better insight and understanding as to how the Viper MAXX works and the adjustments that you make and how it affects your individual spray pattern. As you can see, between these individual sprays, 450 steps of overlap produced a nice smooth feature or application of pretreatment. However, it is considerably heavier in the amount of pretreatment applied. You can see here with the 900 steps that the overlapping is just about right and the pretreatment is relatively light in application. For our third setting, it was 1,350 steps in between each spray, and you can see an obvious light line in between the two. This gives you a good idea of how the actual steps affects your individual pretreating, and the whole goal with these steps is to achieve the perfect balance between no light areas and no heavy areas according to the actual spray nozzle you're using. Over time, the spray nozzle will wear, so you may need to adjust your steps up slightly or down slightly to achieve and continue receiving that perfect spray pattern.